Dangerous would it be to have former President Trump out there as the only voice campaigning for the Republican nomination? Would he need someone to stand up and oppose him?
Look, I think that he cannot be our nominee, and he certainly cannot ever be elected president again.
That was part of an 18-minute sit-down interview with Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney. It aired on CNN today. The cable outlet has been hot on her for some time now, specifically in her role co-chairing the mostly Democratic House panel investigating former President Trump's actions on January 6th. But here's the thing. CNN has a new tune. They weren't always driving the Liz Cheney groupie bus. For example, in 2019, just 3 years ago, when she defended Trump's unpopular decision to draw U.S. troops out of Syria, blaming Democrats for distracting him with impeachment hearings, well, take a listen about how CNN thought of Liz Cheney then.
She said this yesterday that was striking. Here it is.
What the Democrats are doing themselves to try to weaken this president is part of this. It was not an accident that the Turks chose this moment to roll across the border. And I think the Democrats have got to pay very careful attention to the damage that they're doing with the impeachment proceedings.
She's tying the two together, Congressman, and blaming you guys. What's your response?
I strongly disagree with that.
Fast forward just over a year when Cheney did an about-face and joined 9 other Republicans in voting against Trump in his second impeachment trial. That change of heart, specifically turning against Donald Trump, earned Liz Cheney the title of the conscience of Republicans. That's CNN's Chris Lizza. May Davis, former legal advisor to President Trump, joins us now. May, are we at this point now where everything is defined in political terms as it relates to Republicans, how you view President Trump?
There's certainly an element to that. I think the term rhino has really taken on a do you like Trump, do you not, rather than are you a solid Republican. But I do think that there is room for criticism in the Republican Party. So that's really not Liz Cheney's problem. I would say that Tucker Carlson is often critical of Trump. Ben Shapiro is often critical of Trump. These are 2 thought leaders in the Republican Party, I would say. And then, you had the whole slate of Georgia statewide officials get reelected, even though they have had more than their fair share of skirmishes with Trump. So yes, it matters, but I don't think it's critical. I think really there are some key issues now that the Republican Party cares about that maybe they didn't care about before, and Liz Cheney sort of fails all of them.
Okay, so you think about this in the political sense, then you think about it on the media side. Here is CNN now proposing that Liz Cheney run for president herself. Take a listen.
The political reality right now is that it is still very possible that Donald Trump becomes the Republican nominee for president in 2024. And I think you could tell there that if that happens, Liz Cheney feels like her work is not over. The question, of course, is whether she could succeed in preventing him, as she puts it, from ever being in the Oval Office again.
And then they went on to talk about Cheney herself running for president. What is the love affair of Republicans now who hate Trump?
It's funny because I think you saw this a lot with CNN really pushing Alyssa Farah to be, this voice of the Republican Party, even though she's, become very anti-Trump. But I think as far as Liz Cheney being a thorn in Trump's side, this is really something that is going to be appealing for Democrats the same way that Republicans love it when Green Party candidates run alongside Democrats, which is that you want to split the vote. And I think there was a thought maybe that Liz Cheney certainly can't win and certainly doesn't, share 95% of the things that a lot of liberals agree with, but she splits the vote, and splitting the vote really is the goal. So, I don't know if it's a love affair. That said, I've seen a lot of my former colleagues, Miles Taylor, Olivia Troy, these types of people, get paid by MSN, by CNN to go and be,
right. There's almost this group. There's this group of people who came out of the Trump administration and sort of cleansed themselves or rebaptized themselves as anti-Trump Republicans, and then they become the moral conscience, and without really having anybody in what is the Republican Party support them. This is Liz Cheney's dad talking about what his daughter's doing. as she runs for re-election and will likely lose in Wyoming.
There has never been an individual who is a greater threat to our republic than Donald Trump. He is a coward. A real man wouldn't lie to his supporters. Lynn and I are so proud of Liz for standing up for the truth, doing what's right, honoring her oath to the Constitution, when so many in our party are too scared to do so.
Maybe they understand Wyoming politics better than we do, but at the same level, does Liz Cheney really want to win re-election, or is she more valuable and she has more political clout as a martyr?
So I don't actually think that she thinks she's going to win, but she's making a lot of money, and money is never a bad thing in life or in politics, I guess. So if your goal and if your thing now is to be anti-Trump, you'd rather do that well-funded than not. And so if you're going to continue to run for re-election, she's going to be able to bring in big money and then use that against Trump in the future.
Yeah, or she will have fully cleansed herself and then is much more palatable to go on corporate boards and everything else in the same way your old colleagues now are on some of the other networks. Hey, May, it's great talking to you as always. Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, you too, Lynn.
All right, it's good to see you. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.